So welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K25 Next Gen. In today's video, we are back with another episode of our offseason rebuild series, and today it's going to be the Phoenix Suns. Without a doubt, the Phoenix Suns are one of the biggest failures in NBA history. This is currently on pace to be the most expensive team in the history of basketball, and we are not even at the end of the regular season, and this team has already been eliminated from the play-in. This is a team with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal as a big three, and obviously it did not go according to plan. This team is in for a very, very busy offseason in real life, an offseason in which I expect them to make many blockbuster trades, and the future is looking very bleak, to say the least, here in Phoenix. Now, I understand typically on Thursdays we go ahead and do a challenge rebuild, and while I certainly plan on getting back to them next week, unfortunately, when the Phoenix Suns get eliminated before the regular season even ends, I had to do this offseason rebuild. It was desperately needed, and I'm very much excited to do it here today and hopefully get Suns fans, a little bit of happiness, because I'm sure there's not a whole lot of that right now in Phoenix. So, as always, let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section. We will be, likely back on schedule next week with the normal kind of breakdown and videos and what we do. But excited for this one today, man. I definitely have my work cut out for me. Let's get into it. I want to start out with a small disclaimer that if this is your first time watching one of my rebuilds, these are not supposed to be realistic. I know some people still get that a little bit confused, so I always like to go out and remind people when we do these. Okay, let's discuss this Phoenix team. We're going to go over this whole roster. Of course, there will be a blockbuster move or two, and we'll discuss a little bit about this team in real life and where I think things went wrong. I'm assuming many of you probably agree with me, and let's just get into it, I guess. So we'll go on a position-by-position basis, but of course, this all kind of starts with the Bradley Beal trade, which has turned into one of the biggest handicapping moves that we've really seen in a very long time. Now, Bradley Beal is making what? What is he making right now? $53 million. He has a no-trade clause, and he has been straight buns for the Suns. I mean, there's really no other way to describe it. He has been as inconsistent as you could possibly imagine for a guy getting paid that much money. The full no-trade clause just completely handicaps this team, and ultimately he is really going to be one of the bigger deterrents and the reason that this team is going to have the downfall that they're currently on. So, this isn't a shot at Durant or Booker, intentionally. I think there is some times that I think they could do some things a little bit better. That's not to say they both haven't been good this season, because for the most part I think they have been. Of course, KD's still doing this at age 36. But, the reality of the situation is that Kevin Durant's probably getting traded this offseason. I don't necessarily know exactly where he's going to be getting traded this offseason, but if I were Phoenix, the guy doesn't have a no-trade clause. You can't really do anything but take back the best trade package you get. You have to get youth, you have to get draft picks, because you don't really have either of those at this point. And the future, again, is not looking great considering your lack of draft capital. So I'll be very interested to see what they do. I'll be very interested to see some of the trade packages that are out there and that are proposed. But of course, he's still Kevin Durant, even though he's going to be entering his age 37 season. There will certainly be a lot of interest. So let's talk about it position by position. Devin Booker listed as the point guard. I mean, the fit of having Bradley Beal on this team never just felt right. Bradley Beal's a two guard. Devin Booker's a two guard. Obviously, one of them is going to have to play out of position. And while the NBA is basically positionless these days, and Booker has been doing very well, as a distributor, as a playmaker, I really do think that he is his best when he's at his natural position at the shooting guard spot. And this is not really on him. It's a whole lot more on Beal. But the fact that they, kind of did that move and thought it was going to work is really just an indictment on bad ownership, bad front office. And again, I think Booker is the guy that wants to be in Phoenix long term, and I'm assuming the Suns want to keep him there. But again, you don't want to waste the guy's whole career at this point. So I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get Booker a ring, even though, maybe they consider some trade offers for him this offseason. Not saying they will, not saying they should. I just think it could be a possibility. Behind him, Tyus Jones, I don't really know. He's an okay role player. He's going to be entering his age 30 season. He's a free agent. We'll see. You got Monte Morris here. Vasily Micic, just not really interested. Now, the shooting guard spot, I'm going to do everything in my power to get rid of Bradley Beal. Of course, in a non-realistic rebuild, it's going to be about 1,000,000 times easier than it would be in real life. I think Bradley Beal is going to be a Sun for the rest of this career. I don't really see a way out of this, considering that the Suns don't have a lot of draft picks to attach to a Bradley Beal trade, nor do I think any team would really be willing to take him on in any sort of trade. So, yeah, we'll see. I think it's pretty safe that, it's a tie between maybe him and Paul George for the worst contracts in basketball right now. I think PG technically has an extra year, but of course Beal does have that no trade. So really, really tough. Grayson Allen, of course, is a pretty good shooter. They're going to bring off the bench. I still think he's a full-blown scumbag, but he is here. You got Damian Lee here as well. Now, the small forward spot, we talked a lot about Kevin Durant. Almost certainly will be on the move this offseason. Where he goes, I have no idea, but this is kind of a beggars can't be choosers situation for the Suns. they have to get back the best trade possible. I don't care if the team you're sending him to is in the same division. I don't care if they're in the same conference. I don't care if they're your biggest rival. You absolutely, without a doubt, have got to get back the best possible trade package for KD. Now, if there are any bright spots for the Suns team, Ryan Dunn has certainly been one of them. Obviously, an elite defensive player here already in his rookie season. He's 22 years old. Take a look at the numbers. The offensive numbers aren't staggering by any means, but again, he certainly exceeded some expectations heading into year one. Also traded for Cody Martin. I believe that was a deadline deal. Again, nice depth piece. Not really sure what we'll do with him here. Has Bol completely fallen out of the rotation in Phoenix? I mean, I don't watch a lot of Suns games because, I enjoy my mental health, but has Bol really just completely fallen out of this rotation? I thought he was actually pretty decent earlier on in the season. Royce O'Neal will always be a nice bench piece, guy who can certainly stretch the floor, play a little bit of defense. And then finally, the center spot, which, you could argue is maybe the weakest spot on the team. Nick Richards is a fine piece, veteran here in Mason Plumlee. Iguodaro certainly give them some solid run, but, it's a position as a whole we're definitely going to need to upgrade at some point. So, that's the Suns. It's not an elite roster. Of course, it is very, very top-heavy with that duo, and then, trio, if you want to call it here with Beal, but my God, what a failed experiment. And again, this is what happens when a new ownership group comes in and tries to go out and flaunt, and tries to go out and win now, win immediately, because, you think back to 2021, of course, Kevin Durant wasn't here, but you had Devin Booker, you had a really solid young core that, made an NBA Finals. Of course, Chris Paul was never really going to be a long-term piece for them, but the way they just dismantled that team, and again, I'm not saying the Durant trade was a mistake. I think the KD trade was good. What really killed you was the Beal deal. That absolutely killed you. Even if you didn't really give up any super valuable players, it's the draft pick and it's the financial, restrictions that are now on your franchise moving forward. Because as of today, this is the most expensive team in NBA history. Now, that'll likely change next offseason, but just crazy to think you can't even sniff a play-in spot. I understand the West is loaded, but my God, man. Such a failure. All right, offseason number one, LeBron, CP3, some notable names here calling a career as they always do. Jersey retirements, cool. Draft lottery, we're not going to be in it, even though technically we would be. The Rockets pick, or the Rockets have our pick projected number 12. Now, there's about a million different protections and swaps and everything like that. I'm checking Fanspo. It's kind of hard to keep up, honestly, with what it is. I'm almost positive the Rockets are actually supposed to have this pick. So I don't like going off what 2K says, but honestly, it's a pain in the ass to understand. I think Mike Budenholzer has done a horrible job with this team. I understand he's in a tough spot. I have hated some of the rotations I've seen in some of the games I have watched. Again, I'm not dialed in on every Suns game because I enjoy good basketball, and for the most part, they don't play that. But I don't think Mike Budenholzer is a long-term answer here. Now, I understand firing coaches year after year because your roster sucks is not necessarily a great thing, but I want to get one of my guys moving forward into this video, whether that's Salford, Peterson, Kem obviously here. Could also just bring back Budenholzer. JT Hughes, McMillan. There's not a lot of elite names, so honestly, call it as cheesy as you want. I feel like this is a great Stauffer video. Oh my God, he might not even take our deal. All right, Jacob Underwood would, of course, be a backup even if he has worse ratings. And, well, I'm actually going to hold off now and hope Stauffer will sign with me. Okay, cool. All right, let's approach the 2025 NBA draft. Of course, we're not exactly littered with draft capital. We have the 30th overall pick from the Minnesota Timberwolves. We have 27 in round 2. And again, pretty much every pick from now to like 2032 has some sort of protection, some sort of swap. Some other team has the rights to it. It's just such a disastrous situation to be in. And it's just such a, another sad failed experiment at a super team. It went badly really quickly. So I'll likely draft somebody at number 30. I don't really know if there's any other contracts on this team, that I'd consider tradable at this point. I'm not going to, I don't want to say I'm going to completely blow up this roster, but you know what? I definitely don't rule it out. So I might have a trade. If not, I'll just see you guys in the draft. You can call me crazy. You can call me whatever you want, but the fact that the Detroit Pistons are willing to do a 1-for-1 swap for Bradley Beal and Ron Holland is just absolutely too good to pass up on. Now, I'm not saying Ron Holland's going to be some long-term superstar in this league, especially in the 3 years we have in today's rebuild, but this makes us significantly better financially moving forward. And again, if a situation like that comes up, it feels like it's too good to pass up on. Now, there are 3 other trade offers. You got one here from the Grizzlies, another 1-for-1 swap for Desmond Bane. Why Memphis would do this, I have no idea, even if Bane could be a little inconsistent at times. This one here from the Kings doesn't tend to surprise me. I feel like Levine's always easily tradable. Lakers, obviously, in the mix. But I'm going to take the one here that saves us easily the most money, even if we are getting the lowest overall player in return. So I might actually try to be a little greedy anyway and get like a first-round pick in this, like 2028. I don't know. I got to try. They want a first. This is number 30 this year. No, I'm not going to do that, but how about if I give up a couple seconds instead? Would you do that? They want to know. No. All right, I'll just take the original trade. It's fine. It's really not going to kill me that badly. We'll just take the Ron Holland second round draft pick, kiss Bradley Beal goodbye, and thank the heavens that it actually went through. All right, so we do have 2 draft picks this year. They're obviously late. The last pick in round number 1 is probably not going to get me the best player in the world. Janai Broom's sitting here. All right, that's cool with me. And then I think, what is this, the 27th pick in round 2? Yeah, I mean, I doubt anybody really wants it, so, oh boy. I'll draft somebody there. Probably not going to know who they are. Oh, I've actually drafted Rocky Zakarsky in the past, and I think I've had some success, even if his overall has been updated. So 72 and 69 overall, respectively. I guess I'll bring back Micic again in an unrealistic rebuild where I can probably include him in a trade for a first-round pick. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to give any qualifying offers out to any of those players, and again, even with the Beal trade, we're still not in a great financial situation. Not that anybody expected us to be, but the moment of truth is now coming. I think a Kevin Durant trade is going to happen here. I'm not really, fond of trading superstars in this league, but considering what the rest of this roster looks like and our lack of assets, I think maybe getting 2 or 3 pretty solid players for KD, certainly wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. We're taking a trade here with the Orlando Magic, and I'm going to explain why we're passing up on some other offers in just a moment. Now, of course, adding 2 players like Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs, who are both 100% going to be starters for me, without giving up any significant draft capital, feels like a really big win. Now, I'm not trying to make this a realistic Kevin Durant trade. I think you're all probably aware of that. But I am passing up on some offers for some better players. Most notably, I mean, I wouldn't say Halliburton is, really that much better than Wagner. You understand. But these are the 2 that may be a bit questionable. This one here from the Grizzlies, they're willing to trade me 25-year-old. 90 overall, Ja Morant. I'm saying no to that. I'm also saying no to this one here from the Charlotte Hornets. I'm doing this deal here with Orlando strictly because I'm getting 2 starters. This is not me having a competition between Franz Wagner, Ja Morant, and LaMelo Ball, but adding 2 starters and getting rid of 1, I think, is a really big win. And again, not giving up any draft picks, certainly a benefit as well. So KD's obviously the best player in this deal, even at age 36, 37. No denying that, but had to make a tough decision. Go ahead and add these 2 guys. Anyway, and get a draft pick out of this. Again, just trying to get every single thing that I possibly can. No. All right, we'll do this deal. Holy shit. This game is so broken in that aspect. It's like you just offered me the goddamn trade package, and good lord. All right, Kevin Durant's officially been moved. I didn't go into this video 100% saying I had to trade him, but, I did an overview of this roster just, internally, and it became increasingly obvious that moving off of 36-year-old KD was probably the smartest choice. So this is going to allow us to move Booker back to maybe his natural position at that 2 guard. Again, I think that's where he does some of his best work, and I do tend to believe that he has improved as a playmaker this season, but I think that's a pretty good deal for us. At this point, upgrading the power forward spot's also certainly something I'm interested in. I don't hate the idea of having Ron Holland start for a season, but I wouldn't hate an idea of an upgrade either. And then again, the center spot, certainly an area we'd like to attack as well. So yeah, it's going to be about figuring out the depth on this team and figuring out who wants to be on this team, in our opinion, kind of moving forward. A really big thank you to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I have no idea why on earth they are willing to do this, but thanks. Grayson Allen, Vasilij Micic, and Rocky Zakarsky all heading to Cleveland. In return, we're getting ourselves DeAndre Hunter and a 2028 first-round draft pick. Now, DeAndre Hunter will likely be coming off the bench. He'll be the backup behind Franz Wagner. I have no idea what this means for Ryan Dunn. Now, I don't want to trade him. I'd like to play him either at the backup 4 or just figure something out along those lines, but that was just simply too good to pass up on. Hunter could eventually be a trade piece. He's certainly an upgrade off this bench. And Ryan Dunn actually stays the same at the power forward spot, so he'll end up being the backup there. And then maybe we honestly do give a year to either him or Ron Holland as that starting forward. Janai Broom will just chill on the bench because I think that's a pretty good move. Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Utah. All right, well, we just made a trade and made an upgrade at our center spot. Walker Kessler, new center for the Phoenix Suns. We sent out Nick Richards, Cody Martin, and Janai Broom, and, of course, in return, getting Kessler, which, overall-wise is a nice upgrade. He'll certainly be in need of a contract soon, but him and Iguodaro will be our 2 5s moving forward. All right, I'm pretty content at this point. We do need to figure out some backups in the guards, but, even if these are... Ooh, AJ Mitchell chilling here. I feel like I've seen this a few times, and it's very confusing. Now, it's only a 1-year deal. I'm going to let Bull. Honestly, everybody here can just go. I'm not really terribly worried about that. I think adding pieces to this bench, even if they're not long-term pieces right now, I think is probably a pretty smart move. And again, our backup shooting guard's in a pretty tough spot, but 92 overall Booker is going to be eating up the majority of those minutes anyway. So, yeah, you know what? I guess Sam Merrill, will sign him to a 2-year deal if he's willing to take it. Maybe. I don't know. Cool. All right, I will officially see you guys at the start of year 1. We've obviously done a pretty big overhaul of this entire roster, and here goes nothing. We have finalized the 10-man rotation, and I'm actually feeling pretty okay about this team. Now, are we winning a championship this year? I would say it's likely no, but I think we have definitely set up a foundation here that can be somewhat positive moving forward. It's going to be Jalen Suggs, Devin Booker, Franz Wagner, Ryan Dunn, who's up to a 79 overall, and Walker Kessler rounding out this starting 5. Now, one of the good things about the trades that we made and the additions that we added is I think a lot of these guys are going to be moving positively in the overall department, where, again, not a shot at KD. He's still obviously, the best player that was on this team in this video. He's going to be going down in the overall department and may even retire at some point. So I'm happy. DeAndre Hunter, who's up to an 84 overall, going to be my 6th man here. Ron Holland will be my backup 4. Got AJ Mitchell at the backup point guard spot. Oso Iguodala, the backup center. And then, Sam Merrill went down a singular overall. Certainly an area we'll look to upgrade at some point. But, 10 minutes a night, he's a fine placeholder behind Devin Booker. All right, it'll be interesting. I think it's a playoff team. Let's find out at the end of year number 1. All things considered, a really positive first season here in Phoenix. We finished with a record of 52-30. Now, I'm not really sure where that puts us in the landscape of the loaded West, but obviously it's a playoff team. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning the MVP award. Cooper Flagg, I don't know, the Pelicans get number 1. Yeah, they took him first, and he wins Rookie of the Year. Ace Bailey, who was drafted number 2 overall, is somehow off the bench in Charlotte. Seriously, you can't find a way to get him and Brandon Miller in there. Giannis wins D. Point. Matas Bazelis, most improved. Steph Curry, clutch player of the year. And Mark Daignault wins coach of the year. All right, you can see right there we're the 3 seed. We'll take a look at the full standings right now. We were at 9 games behind the Thunder. Dallas is always loved by 2K. That's the Western Conference. Here is a look at the East. Celtics still running things over there. Let's go over some of the numbers real quick. Devin Booker, absolutely unbelievable. About 29 points a game, 51.5% from the field. Franz Wagner emerging really solid as the number 2 option here. You got Jalen Suggs, DeAndre Hunter, AJ Mitchell. You got Walker Kessler, Holland, Dunn, Iguodala, and then Sam Merrill. We were led in rebounds by Walker Kessler and led in assists by Devin Booker. Okay, it is us and the San Antonio Spurs in round 1. Now, we are in the West. There's not really an easy matchup in any round. This obviously is not a fun one. Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, Victor Wembanyama. They added an absolute sniper in Malik Beasley as a 6th man. Dylan Harper also here, and Mo Wagner. Okay. I have a feeling this one might not go our way, even if we are, we are just, wow. Disappointing end to, all things considered, a pretty promising season from where we started. But, yeah, this was not great. Booker did his thing. Wagner, Jalen Suggs. Yeah, I think we might just need to add, one more scorer to this team. We have 3 guys who can all, score in the teens or higher in Suggs, Wagner, and Booker. But I don't know. We'll sort that out. But good first regular season, obviously tough end to the playoffs. SGA and the Thunder going up against Cade Cunningham and the Pistons here in the finals. Thunder win it all. Holy shit. Okay. Offseason number 2. If it can be anything as close to how great offseason number 1 went, we're going to be in a really good spot. Some retirements there, draft lottery. Again, I don't always trust 2K with the pick protections and everything like that, but I don't think there's anything in the lottery for us anyways. So it says that Charlotte has our pick. I guess I'll just kind of trust it from here on out. I mean, I'm not going to take the picks back. I'm telling you, if you go look on Fanspo and look at the pick protections and the swaps and everything like that for the Suns moving forward, it genuinely would break Einstein's brain. I mean, it's wildly confusing for the untrained eye, which obviously I am. Oh, shit. Oh, when did I get the Memphis pick? What deal was that? I think it was a trade. I'm not exactly sure what trade, but I don't think the Suns originally had it. That's the other thing that kind of, tricks me out a little bit. I want to make sure I traded for that at some point. I did not, have it already, because if I did, it's a highly, highly likely chance that Memphis should actually have that pick. So hang on. I'm going to read you a paragraph here from Fanspo and just let you know what I'm working with. Again, I don't mean to make your ears bleed when you're watching a 2K rebuild, but just so you understand what I'm trying to unpack here. Apparently, this was a pick that was actually dealt at some point. It's a 4-team possibility. Washington has the right to swap its 2026 first-round pick protected for selections 9 through 30. If Washington does not convey a first-round pick to New York in 2025 for Phoenix's first-round pick in 2026, Orlando then has the right to swap its 2026 first-round pick for the less favorable of the Phoenix pick and the Washington pick if conveyable. Memphis then has the right to swap its 26 first for the least favorable of the Phoenix pick the Washington pick if conveyable, and the Orlando pick. If the Washington pick is not conveyable, then the commitment to Washington will be lifted, and Orlando will instead have the right to swap its pick for the Phoenix pick. What do I work at NASA? I mean, how the fuck am I supposed to unpack that? Long story short, I'm not going to keep the pick. I don't think I'm supposed to have it. I have no idea who's supposed to. It's just, God, make these things a little bit easier. I mean, you'd think all these big brain GMs could try to, dumb this down for us. Maybe if they did, so many of them wouldn't make absolutely idiotic trades. All right, I think it's the Wizards. I'll just swap it for number 30. Again, that's probably wrong, but I'd rather have, a pick I'm not supposed to that's at number 30 than a pick I'm not supposed to have to at number 13. So, yeah, apologies for breaking your brains. I also broke mine. So, all right, pick number 30, pick number 27. Very similar to what we had last year. I'm almost sure that's identical. We'll end up hanging on to both of these. Probably similar. I'll draft somebody at 30, and then nobody wants the 27th pick in round 2. Can't really blame them. Let's just see who's sitting here at number 30. Yeah, good God. Those protections, the swaps, the conveys, it just, holy shit. Drake Powell, welcome to the team. All right, at this point, we are, I don't know if we'll consider any major upgrades in this starting 5. I don't hate the idea. Of course, Walker Kessler, certainly a player we'd like to extend as well, but, I'm pretty content with this starting 5. Now, does that mean I'm going to keep everything intact? I don't know if I'd say that. AJ Mitchell's also qualified. I'll match any deal he gets. But I think we are in a pretty good spot. Again, where we were from year 1 to now is just miles and miles better. So is this game going to allow me to re-sign AJ Mitchell? It is not. So we're going to have to match whatever he gets. Obviously, I will obviously go ahead and do that. And I might have 1 or 2 trades. Holy shit. Okay. I pulled off a blockbuster, and it was a deal I did not think I was going to make. But, yeah, we added Amen Thompson to this team. Obviously, he's listed as a power forward. Probably not his most natural fit. But then again, where is his most natural fit? Yeah, I gave up a lot in terms of draft capital to get him, but I think it's well worth it. I really do genuinely believe that. So, I'm going to start him at the 4. Again, probably not his best position. I mean, it doesn't really matter. He's Amen Thompson, but I'm wildly shocked. Now, I would be curious. If I move Franz Wagner to the 4, does his overall go down significantly? Yeah, it does. Okay, I mean, unfortunately, if I move Thompson to small forward, he also jumps up, but I'll just leave them, at the 4. I'll leave Wagner at the 3 for now. Okay, wow, that's a major, major addition. It also, pretty much alleviates the draft picks we had, but at this point, we're going to obviously wait on AJ Mitchell, and I'll just sign a shooting guard here. Oh, boy. Gabe Vincent is not really my preferred option. I don't really know if anybody here is a preferred option for me. Oh, boy. How tall is AJ Mitchell? That's something I do want to check out. He's 6'5". Okay, I could play AJ Mitchell to 2. I'm pretty confident in that. So if I do this and I sign a 25-year-old Trey Jones, I think that actually makes a little bit more sense. Because I'm banking on the youth thing here. I think that's probably the best way to go about this. And at this point, I'll just wait on Mitchell. I'll match whatever he gets. If not, he'll take his qualifying offer. And I'll see you guys at the start of year 2. Dare I say this is a championship team? I think we have everything that is possibly needed. We have unbelievable star power, fantastic quality depth, and a competent head coach. I think the time is now. I truly do. Jalen Suggs, Devin Booker, Franz Wagner. Obviously, wildly surprised I was able to add Amen Thompson and Walker Kessler. Bench unit will be led by DeAndre Hunter. AJ Mitchell, who accepted his qualifying offer and also developed up to a 93 overall. He's still here. Ryan Dunn will be the backup 4. You got Oso Ighodaro, the backup 5. And finally, Trey Jones rounding it out. So I think this is easily the best team we've had yet. Even, at the start of this video, I don't even think it's really remotely close. And again, expectations are very, very high. I'll see you guys at the end of year 2. Such a great way to cap off year number 2 here in Phoenix. Final record of 66-16. Of course, very much in the mix to win a championship. Hopefully we can go do that. Now, this guy might be on our way. Victor Wembanyama has officially arrived. Not that he hadn't before, but he's winning MVPs. AJ DeBance, a member of the Portland Trailblazers, your Rookie of the Year. You got Josh Giddey coming off the bench in Utah. Wemby wins DPOY. VJ Edgecombe, Most Improved. Luka is now an Atlanta Hawk. Well, I mean, in an alternate reality, he probably is. And really? Memphis winning 67. Oh, we're not even the 1 seed. Holy shit. Okay. All right. I mean, they're good. Here's a look at the dreadful East. Let's talk about some of the numbers here real quick. Devin Booker once again leading us in scoring. Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs. I still can't believe we got Amen Thompson. And Amen Thompson also came with a contract extension. Like, that was locked in place. AJ Mitchell, who's certainly due for a pay bump this offseason. DeAndre Hunter, Walker Kessler, Iguodala, Jones, and then done. We are led in the rebounding department by Kessler, led in assists by Thompson. All right, so we're the 2 seed at 66 wins. We're facing the New Orleans Pelicans. Hawkins, De'Aaron Fox now here. Cooper Flagg, Jabari Smith Jr., Eve Messi. Zion's coming off the bench. Really? Okay. Let's see what happens here in the first round against New Orleans. Now, we were up 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. We officially sweep them. Moving on to San Antonio. This is the team that swept us in round 1 last year. Now, we are certainly a little bit better. They, of course, lost De'Aaron Fox, but they still have Victor Wembanyama. We are not doing this again, are we? Okay. We finally win a game, but we're down 3-1. We force game 6. We force game 7. Oh my God, they blew a 3-1 lead. And it is us and the Minnesota Timberwolves here in the Western Conference Finals. They have swapped Julius Randle for Tari Eason, added Keldon Johnson, Rasheer Fleming to their bench. They're pretty good. All right, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. I guess it's just the Spurs that give us any sort of real difficulty. We are on to the NBA Finals. Looks like the Amen Thompson trade was worth it. I mean, the shooting splits are hilarious, but other than that, he was great. And we're taking on the defending Eastern Conference champion, Detroit Pistons, who are also pretty young. They're playing Draymond at the 5 in the year, what would this be, 2027? That's certainly a choice. All right, I think this team's beatable. I don't think there's any denying that. We're up 3-0 and hopefully going to sweep them out of their own building here. So, championship in year 2 feels pretty good to me. Obviously, you know, we had a lot of moves and we timed it right, and we are certainly on the verge of getting this done here. So, yeah, I guess we'll talk a little bit more about the Suns. A 19-point advantage here in Game 4 sees us on the verge of sweeping the Detroit Pistons out of their own building. We are, of course, feeling pretty good at this point, and of course, since this game is not close, we have some time to kind of just relax a little bit and discuss this Suns team a little bit more. I mean, I've said pretty much everything that I was going to, you know, about my thoughts on this team in generally. You know, I think a lot of people say that the Kevin Durant trade wasn't necessary. I truly never believed that Kevin Durant was the problem. I think what they gave up, you know, especially in Bridges and Johnson, certainly hurt to lose because they were both really quality. I mean, role players, if not above role players. You know, neither of them were Kevin Durant or really anything close to that. But, you know, they gave you, you know, things that you don't necessarily have right now that you desperately need, like, you know, more shot making, more defense. And it's just, it really kind of crippled them in that way. But where it obviously all went wrong is the Beal trade. And that's one that, in most scenarios, is a coach killer, which we've obviously seen. It is a GM killer, which, you know, I don't know what they do moving forward at that spot. I think they need to likely assess all options, but this is not an easy rebuild for Phoenix. And quite honestly, they're in one of the worst spots in the league. And it's hard to believe when you have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker on your team, but, you know, you look at the financial commitments to that team, you look at the lack of draft capital, which we've discussed extensively today. You know, it's not an easy thing to get out of, no matter, you know, who's on your team and what your situation is moving forward. So, Suns fans, I feel bad for you. Honestly, I feel like everybody that I see on Twitter is not really even a Suns fan. They're more of just like a KD stan or like a Booker stan. But that's also kind of what NBA Twitter is these days. But yeah, man, I feel bad for you. Best of luck moving forward. The 2027 season officially ends, and we are the champions, something that I can almost 100% guarantee you will not be the Suns ending in real life in next year. All right, Amen Thompson going to be your finals MVP. Yeah, we gave up a lot to get him, but it is well worth it. KD actually went to the Lakers. Harden went to the Celtics. Paul George was a member of the Miami Heat. What is this alternate reality? All right, we're going to obviously do one more season. We are going to, you know, probably not make a lot of major changes. There might be one or two, but I don't really have a reason to change many things. So, obviously hanging on to Stauffer. Let's approach the 27 draft. We, of course, traded a ton of draft capital to get Thompson, but obviously well worth it at this point. I don't really need that, so we will not draft anybody for the first time this year. Dunn and Iguodala both going to be brought back. AJ Mitchell has another qualifying offer. Do we have any other real free agents? Oh, DeAndre Hunter. He's pretty important. Oh, he wants 30 goddamn million. That's a lot of money. We are probably pretty much right up against the cap right now. And then I do want to see what is the shooting guard. What is, where in the world? Oh, AJ Mitchell's right here. A lot of free agents. He wants 26 million. Wow. I don't know if it's going to let me match anything. Honestly, he might take his qualifying again, which is certainly within the realm of possibility. At this point, I may try to upgrade the backup center spot, not because I have to, but just because I like changing things on a year-to-year basis. You know, we're getting offered a couple centers, but, I mean, are any of these really worth it? All right, you know what? We'll probably just run it back, honestly. I do think it's not exactly, you know, exhilarating, but it's probably the smartest thing to do, again, considering some of the limitations here. So I think AJ Mitchell, honestly, at this point, is just going to take a qualifying offer. So I'll just see you guys at the start of year number 3. I'm working on a trade here to make a little upgrade at our backup point guard spot. Quite honestly, I forgot Trey Jones was our backup, and yeah, I'd like a little upgrade there. So made a deal with the Detroit Pistons, traded for somebody named Elston Harrington. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and pretend I know who that is, but he's a few overalls higher, a little bit better, and then again, it is a change. So yeah, let's set the rotation. Final season here in Phoenix. We are looking to go back-to-back, and I certainly think it's feasible that we have the talent and the depth to do so. Starting 5 remains exactly the same. Jalen Suggs, Devin Booker, Franz Wagner, Amen Thompson, Walker Kessler. Bench unit will now be led by AJ Mitchell, who's just drastically underpaid for his overall and how good he is, but he picked up his qualifying offer again. He got no other deals. DeAndre Hunter will be the backup 3 once again. He got Ryan Dunn in here, Elston Harrington, and Oso Iguodaro. All right, let's try to go back-to-back. I'll see you guys at the end of year 3. By no means were we bad, we just weren't as good as last year, which is a little strange. So, I don't know, maybe everybody else was a little better, but we go 60-22 here in the final season. I'm not trying to downplay it like it was a bad season, but, typically I get better by a year, not, a little bit worse. Wemby wins another MVP. Tyron Stokes, Rookie of the Year. Gordon Mean, your 6th man. Wemby wins also the Defensive Player of the Year. Caleb Wilson, Most Improved. John Morant, Clutch Player of the Year, and oh boy. Yeah, the Spurs are here. I think we're the 2 seed. Let's dive into what we are. So at least we wouldn't have to see them until the West Finals, if we do. And then let's talk about some of the numbers. I'm assuming not a lot changed here. Oh, well, Franz Wagner actually led us in scoring. Okay, you guys know how it works. Doesn't matter who scores, who rebounds, who assists, as long as we are winning. So round 1 going to be us and the Memphis Grizzlies. Didn't this team win like 67 games last year? So definitely not my favorite first round draw. We split the first 2 on home floor, win game 3 on the road, also win game 4, win 4 straight, a little gentleman sweep. Now moving on to the 6-seeded Los Angeles Lakers, who have, oh my God. I'm not going to go on a whole rant right now. I have seen all the Lakers fans on Twitter making, Jokic jersey swaps, and the Lakers saying, oh, if they could trade for him this offseason, here would be the trade package. About a year ago, I'd tell you you're fucking, crazy. You're out of your goddamn mind. Just because you make a jersey swap doesn't mean you're getting everybody like the Lakers always think they are. But after the Luka trade, it would not shock me. Nothing would surprise me anymore. So, yeah, just funny seeing Jokic in a Lakers jersey. But he's definitely the best player in the series, and we are down 2-1 at this point. Make it down 3-1. Okay, we're fighting back a little bit, and we get bounced in 6. Pretty disappointing ending. I felt this offseason I didn't really want to make many major changes, and I did that because we were, pretty damn good last year. A really brutal series out of DeAndre Hunter. I didn't really think it was necessary, but obviously I guess I should have reassessed, and, well, I guess we didn't win another. All right, well, the Pacers are going to win it all here to cap off year 3. Overall-wise, it was still a successful rebuild. I mean, hell, look at this team, and of course did win a championship. But, yeah, man, I've given you a lot of my thoughts on this Suns team and where I truly think things went wrong. I think they honestly just pushed their chips in way too early. I think the Bradley Beal deal, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I immediately thought it was going to be one of the worst trades in the history of basketball. And, I still don't know if it's one of the worst trades ever, but in terms of what they gave up, the draft picks is what's going to kill you. Obviously, the financial restrictions kills you. But I think when people think of some of the worst trades ever, like you think of the Celtics-Nets trade that obviously led the Celtics to a championship, got them Jason Tatum, got them Jaylen Brown, and of course, they're the clear-cut winners there. And I'm not saying the Wizards aren't the clear-cut winner of the Beal deal, but, at the end of the day, it's probably going to be a little bit less than that, even if it really did kill the Suns, long-term. So, yeah, man, Suns fans, I feel bad for you. There's not really much else to say. It's not going to be positive moving forward, and it's going to be a rough offseason for you guys. It really is. So, anyways, man, that'll do it for me. Let me know which team you want me to do next down below in the comments section. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.